I'm going to go ahead and get started. And then as I go through just some introductory slides, people will continue to join us today. So thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to talk about teaming. It's a great way for you to get into government contracting and expand your revenues by actually working with another business versus thinking you always need to kind of go on your own. First, a little bit about who we are. We're the Apex Accelerator. Formerly, we were known as Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, or PTACs. We're administered locally by the Monterey County Business Council. Apex Accelerator program has been around since 1985 and is administered through the Department of Defense. There are actually 96 centers across the United States and 7 within the state of California. And the mission of all Apex Accelerators is to promote economic growth and create employment opportunities in the local markets that they serve. And we do that by facilitating your access to the government marketplace, whether it's federal, state, or local. Here's a map of the state of California. We're the teal area here in the Central Coast, Central Valley area. These other colored areas are those other 7 Apex Accelerators within our state. So if you're in this webinar and you're from one of those other locations, you can either just try to reach out to them directly or contact us, and we'll give you their information so that you can receive the outstanding services that all of us provide. So, so these are the services that all Apex Accelerators provide. First and foremost, it's confidential client services, learning about your business, one-on-one counseling, find out what you've been doing in the past, what you're currently doing, and then of course your goals for government marketplace. We do that again through pre-award assistance, kind of teach you how to find opportunities that are out there, help you review these notices. Federal government, they call them solicitations. In the state, they call them events. Help walk you through that process. Talk to you a little bit about a capability statement. A capability statement is a really nice piece that was created for the federal marketplace as a way that you can present that to somebody within the federal government. But it's been adapted by a lot of primes that sell to the federal government as well as state, but it's just a nice marketing piece that has certain information on it in a format that's easy to understand, and so I can quickly get a good sense of your business. Post-award assistance. So we'll help you navigate if you run any kind of conflicts, how to maybe handle that. If it's a federal contract you're looking at, talk to you about debriefs and what they are and how they can really help you learning how to be a better business and selling to the government. And then lastly, protest. We can kind of provide you some guidance on whether a protest makes sense or not and the process. And so it's important just to kind of know that although you felt that you should have won a contract, going down the road of filing a protest can be long and arduous, and it just may not be worth the expense of actually doing it. Outreach events. So when we learned about outreach events and we feel that they'd be beneficial to you, we're letting you know that the California High-Speed Rail is having an event on the 23rd of October in Merced. So we encourage you to maybe attend that if you feel that you have a product or service that either the high-speed rail directly or their prime contractors could utilize. We strongly encourage you to attend that event. On November 7th, we'll actually be hosting an event in Salinas, California, that's called the Central Coast Procurement Expo, where we're going to be bringing together local government representatives to meet with you to talk about the opportunities that they have. We'll be doing some training sessions throughout the day as well. So if you haven't received information, you will start receiving information about that event, and we strongly encourage you to attend. As I mentioned, there'll be training at that event. Webinars like the one we're doing today, we'll continue to do those. Just a great way to be able to spread information out in the large geographical area that we serve. Bid matching. So bid matching something that all Apex accelerators do. And basically what it is we utilize a third-party vendor who has a system that goes out and searches thousands of websites where governments post their contracting opportunities. We create a profile with you, upload that profile into their system, so then their system goes out daily and looks for contracting opportunities that match your profile. What's nice, it's not static, so if you're getting too much or not enough, we can kind of go back and try to tweak your profile so we can start seeing better results. um, Navigating certification program. So a lot of people hear about certification programs. You can see here, there's woman-owned small business, disadvantaged business enterprise, service disabled, veteran-owned small business, 8A HubZone. We can kind of help you understand whether those make sense for your business or not. In some cases, they can be influential in the valuation process, and other times, certain industries, they really don't help you at all. So we kind of help you understand that, as well as help you understand all the documentation that you need in order to obtain one of these certifications. One of the things I can tell you is for the any certifications that are done by the SBA, Small Business Administration, so the woman-owned small business, service disabled, veteran-owned business, 8A HubZone, all of those right now are on hold as they go through and complete the redesign of a certification portal that they've been working on for several months now. Great thing is there's no fees or commitment. So where your tax dollars at work, so take advantage of that. If somebody wants to charge you fees for something, check with us first, because there's a lot of companies out there that want to charge you for something that you can get those exact same services from us at no cost to you. With that, let me introduce a good strategic partner of ours. It's the Small Business Development Center. This one here, the Central Coast Small Business Development Center, is actually local to the Monterey San Benito area, but there are over 1,000 locations of SBDCs across the United States. There's several all throughout the state of California, and they're really good at helping people that maybe are just starting a business, need a business plan to kind of have a roadmap of what it's going to take for success. Also, they're excellent in helping you with that business plan that you would need in order to secure financing for your business. They also know a lot of lenders that they can refer to. Once they've kind of talked to you, understand your position, they may be able to recommend certain lenders over others that would be more favorable to providing you some type of financing. They all work with basically groups of consultants that have different expertise. So they'll have consultants that are experts in, say, accounting, HR stuff, again, financing, social media, different things like that. So take advantage of them. Oftentimes, someone will come to us and they are just thinking about starting a business or just started a business. We'll refer them to the SBDC, say, go work with them for a while and then come back to us. Or in some cases, we'll suggest just working with them for one thing and working with us at the same time. So they're a great resource. So let's just jump in today's presentation on teaming. Here's our agenda today. So basically, we're going to go over the basics of teaming, benefits of it, types of teaming, finding teaming partners, which always is a big thing that people ask us about, selecting a teaming partner, and then why finding a partner fails. So let's just jump in there. So basics, teaming. What is teaming? Well, teaming is just you working with another company in order to, deliver a good or service. So basically, that's what it is. And I'll kind of go into some different types here in a second, but basically that's what teaming is. Sometimes teaming is kind of contrary to why we go into business for ourselves, because you don't really want to answer to anybody. But oftentimes, again, by you teaming is a great way for you to generate more sales for your company. Why team? Oftentimes, you're teaming because that may be just how it works within your industry. If you think about construction is a really good example where you'll have like a general contractor, but then he teams with several subcontractors in order to deliver the project to the owner. So in that case, it works like that. In other cases, it could be that there may be a great opportunity that you see, and you can deliver on, say, 80% of it, but you're lacking 20%. But by you teaming with someone else, you can then meet all the requirements of that solicitation. And who benefits? Well, everybody benefits. You benefit, your teaming partner benefits, and also the customer benefits. So that's what makes teaming a great thing, because everyone benefits from it. So let's talk a little bit more about benefits. Basically, it increases your opportunities. So it allows you to participate in a contract that, again, otherwise you wouldn't be able to participate in, because again, you need a teaming partner to be able to deliver on all the deliverables of a certain contract. It'll add skill sets you lack. So again, it's like I was referring, maybe there's say you're in IT and this opportunity requires 6 different things, but your team internally can have great experience in doing 4, but you're lacking 2. Well, you bring in a teaming partner to meet those 2 so that way that you can offer everything that the government is looking for. That way you don't have to pass on the opportunity. It adds resources to you. So oftentimes you'll look at an opportunity and you might be lacking some of these things: equipment, maybe your bonding capacity, if you're in construction, isn't to the level that it needs to be. You team with someone and has a larger bonding capacity, then you meet the requirements of the contract. Likewise, financing. It may be that you just don't have the cash on hand to be able to, deliver a product or service and then wait to get paid, but you bringing in a teaming partner that's a little stronger financially, then helps you to win that contract and not worry about that. Leveraging socioeconomic set-asides. So I talked earlier about certification. So there's 8A, service disabled, veteran, women-owned. Oftentimes, in 2 ways. Could be that there's a contract opportunity that's been set aside for one of these socioeconomic categories, but that company that has that certification doesn't have all the things that are going to be required. So they're looking for a teaming partner that they can bring in so that they can deliver on everything that's required of the contract. Likewise, it's not talked about as much is that when the federal government has a large contract that goes out, the primes that are awarded those contracts have to submit with their offer a small business participation plan. In that small business participation plan, they need to detail that for this scope of work, we're going to use this company, which is a woman-owned small business, and this is the estimated dollar value of that work. And they'll have to do the same thing for veteran-owned, 8A, HUBZone, etc. So again, they'll be looking for teaming partners. This next one, attract potential mentors. In fact, 2 weeks we'll be doing a presentation on mentor protege programs, but by you teaming with somebody, it's a good way for you to develop a relationship with another company that if everything goes well, then that could potentially lead to them becoming a mentor to you to help you grow your business and get you where you want to go, help you to, do things like, better project management, those types of things. So it's a great way for, attracting mentors. This next one, familiarize your firm with government contracting. We attend a lot of conferences and things like that, but one of the things that you hear on a regular basis from some business that's talking about a success story where they were small in the beginning and they grew is that they started out by being a subcontractor to a other company that kind of showed them the ropes of how it all works. So that's one of the great benefits of teaming is that you being a subcontractor and then your prime kind of teaches you certain things about, say, document flow, those types of things that you're not accustomed to and working maybe in the private sector. And then this last one is just develop additional past performance. Again, if you're teaming, it's going to allow you perhaps to win more contracts. And then because of that, then you're creating more past performance. Past performance is the most important thing that you are evaluated on when you're submitting offers to the government. And so by you developing past performance because of the fact that you team with someone helps strengthen your past performance. So let's have types of teaming. So the first one is probably like the most common that people hear about is just prime subcontractor. A lot of times when you think of prime subcontractor, you think of like construction, which is basically that's the business model they use. But prime subcontractor happens in basically every kind of industry. If you've seen, as an example, some of the problems that Boeing has had, like last summer, they were having a problem with their subcontractor who building fuselages for them. So you would kind of think that, well, gee, that Boeing builds everything themselves, but the reality is that Boeing subs out most of the manufacturing of all the components that go into a plane, and they kind of just assemble it all together. So again, whether you're like, say, if you're in IT, oftentimes we get approached by companies that are small IT companies, and they say, well, how do I, get into the government marketplace? By them being a subcontractor to someone who's a prime, and maybe has already had experience and has won some contracts with the government, is a great way for them to not only just make money, but learn about the process. And so down the road, then they are being awarded prime contracts. And one thing I always tell people too is it's okay if on one job you're the prime and another job you're the sub, because you're just making money. Joint venture. So typically, if you are like in a prime subcontractor relationship and everything goes well and stuff, and there's opportunities that come up, you'll see that companies will say, well, why don't we find a joint venture so our two companies will together will go after this opportunity? And again, that's a great way to increase your capacity, etc. It's something that you see all the time. We were just looking and talking to someone. It's for the California High-Speed Rail Project. One of the large primes is a joint venture between Dragados and Flatiron. So it's not just something that small businesses do. Very large, billion-dollar a year companies are joint venturing all the time. So it's something that you as maybe a small business should look at as well. Mentor protege. So there's various mentor protege programs that are out there. Like I said, on the 16th of October, I'll be doing a presentation on the most common ones, the SBA and the Department of Defense mentor protege program. But it can be a type of teaming, and it's not necessarily depending on how it's structured. It could be that you're in a mentor protege program, and the idea is that the protege is receiving business development assistance from the mentor. Oftentimes, though, for the mentor to have an incentive to entering in a mentor protege relationship, they want to see that down the road, they then form a formal joint venture with the protege. So that way the mentor can see a financial benefit from the assistance they're providing to the protege. So, but that's another one. And then teaming agreements. I put that there because people are, I think, are oftentimes confused by that. And they think of a teaming agreement, they think of, okay, that's the contract between the sub and the prime, or the joint venture contract, etc. But really what a teaming agreement is it's an agreement made between two companies that says we're going to pursue opportunities, and if we see one that we liked, we will probably take it to the next level and either form a joint venture, or we'll go after it as a prime subcontractor. But it's agreement that says we're going to go ahead and pursue and look for opportunities where we can work together. Oops. So things to consider. Make sure, yeah. Oops. Sorry about that. Things to consider. And, now that most people have joined this, I'll let you know that, like always, you'll receive a copy of this presentation. You'll receive a link to the recording, so if you want to listen to this again. But things to consider: is teaming a good strategy for you? If you're somebody that really wants to always be the boss and always be in control, it may not be a good strategy for you. But again, depending on the kind of business you have, it could be an excellent strategy for you to make money. So you got to keep that in mind. But again, like I said, oftentimes when we go into business for ourselves, because we don't want to answer to anybody, but typically you got to answer to somebody, and that could be your customer, and your customer could be another company. So, you're teaming with them. This next one is conduct a SWOT analysis. So if you're not familiar with the term SWOT, it stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. And what you want to do is think about your company and think about, okay, what are our strengths? Because you're going to be trying to sell your company to another company. So what are the strengths that we can bring to the table? What kind of weaknesses that we might have? And certainly if you have a weakness, it's not something that you really want to hide from your potential teaming partner. You want to be upfront about it, especially like when you're looking at a mentor-protege relationship. A SWOT analysis is really important. So that way the mentor kind of knows what kind of assistance that the protege has. Opportunities, so is the O in SWOT. So ideally what you want to do is, you want to find contracting opportunities that are upcoming, that you're aware of. So that way it's kind of sweetens the pot. If like a prime is looking at a project and they're going to be looking for subcontractors, the fact that you know about that project and already done some homework on it, it helps you to kind of be more in the driver's seat as a subcontractor. And then the threats, the threat is outside things that really you can't control. If you think of COVID as an example, that was an excellent example of a threat that just came up, caught everybody by surprise, and really affected how well people could conduct business. Number 3 there, where are you in the supply chain? That's something that we bring up a lot with people, is that you say, well, I want to sell to the government. But the reality is it could be that what it is that you sell, whether it's a product or service, it could be something that the government never buys directly. They'll buy it from somebody else. So you think about, it could almost be anything. But again, using the construction as an example, the government's going to hire a general contractor who's going to hire all these subcontractors. If you think of something like manufacturing, oftentimes there's a bunch of components that are manufactured by smaller companies that then are sold to a larger company, and then that larger company assembles it into a product that's what is sold to the government. So if you think of things like airplanes and automobiles and things like that, you're in the supply chain, you're making money, but you'll never sell directly to the government. Number 4 is, what form of teaming is appropriate? So again, did you want to just keep it at a prime subcontractor relationship, which is fine. Do you want to try to see if you can identify a company that could become a mentor to you? And then as a mentor, do you want to maybe mentor protege relationship, take that up to another level where it becomes a joint venture? So think about that. Oftentimes, and I'll talk a lot more about this in 2 weeks, but uh, these relationships that progress over time typically start as somebody's a prime and someone else is a subcontractor to them. So just think about that. If you just kind of meet somebody and right away you're pushing, hey, I'm looking for a mentor, and that might kind of turn them off. How much time is available? So oftentimes when you do look at things like joint ventures and things like that, uh, it takes time to kind of get to know a company and how well you would work with them, what their company culture is like compared to yours, those types of things. So it could be that, you see an opportunity in sam.gov, but you see that the offer is due in 2 weeks. Well, unless you have some established relationships already with potential teaming partners, it's probably not enough time for you to put anything together. So that's why you kind of want to be looking at forecasts, know what's out there, be familiar with it, and start having these conversations long in advance. And then this last one is really important. How will both partners benefit? So like I said in the very beginning, when I talked about benefits, who benefits, and I said everybody, that's really important to a potential teaming partner. They want to know what's in it for me, how much money am I going to make off of this thing? So make sure that when you're talking to someone about teaming, that you're showing them how they would benefit in addition to how you would benefit. So this is the big one. People ask us, well, can you help me find a teaming partner? And typically the answer to that is no. Because really it's all about developing a relationship with another company and their key employees, et cetera, their owners. And that takes time. It's much like a relationship where you meet someone and you start courting and you start dating and it slowly progresses. It's a lot like that. But finding teaming partners is one way is just first is your industry knowledge. Who do you know in the industry? Who have you worked with in the past that you like? Oftentimes, we're receive notices that we push out to our clients that it's like, say, a large prime contractor that's looking for subcontractors. So that's an excellent way for you to develop that relationship, is to follow their instructions, send them their information, maybe submit a offer to them, develop that relationship, the open communication. If you weren't selected as a subcontractor, ask them in a friendly way, not in a defensive way, of what you could have done better in order to be included as a subcontractor to team with them. If you need to, you can do your market research and use these various databases that are out there. So USA Spending is a website where you can go and you can use filters, and we can teach you how to do this, is see who's getting the contracts. So you can set up a filter and use an X code, and you can see who's getting contracts. You can say, okay, these are the companies then that I need to talk to so that I can be a sub on their projects. DSBS stands for Dynamic Small Business Search. Same thing. In their case, that database is just basically a listing of small businesses. But again, you may want to look in there and you see companies perhaps that from the industry already, that then you can approach them about, hey, possibly teaming. And then the SBA has this Veteran-Owned Small Business Directory, where if you see that there are opportunities that have been set aside for veterans, If you think about the VA, the Veterans Administration, more than any other agency, they try to spend almost all their dollars with veteran-owned businesses. So if you're not a veteran, you may want to go in that directory, identify companies that perhaps that you know, to say, hey, I'd be interested in maybe being a subcontractor, teaming with you on some of these opportunities that you could be competitive on with the VA. And it could be that a veteran-owned company may see some of these opportunities with the VA, but think to themselves, well, I can't deliver on everything that they want to, so they pass on it rather than going out and finding a teaming partner who can strengthen their proposal. Some of these others, associations, join associations that are specific to your industry. That's a great way to meet other companies that can provide you with leads and things like that. And then some of them, again, could be teaming partners with you. Attending conferences like the one up in Merced, the one that we're going to have, enable you to meet other companies that have similar interests in you. Certifications, they can help out. So if you do qualify for one of these socioeconomic certifications, that may be something you might want to communicate to someone, because the fact is that you have the certification. Again, you can do 70% of the work, but there's 30% that you don't have. Someone may be looking for you because they know that they want to get their skin in the game, but the only way they're going to be able to maybe do that is by teaming with somebody who happens to have one certification over another one. And then this last one is just networking. So just, asking your colleagues, asking the people in your industry, do you know of somebody who I could potentially team with as a subcontractor, or maybe I'm looking for a mentor who eventually could become a JV partner with me. So, ask people that you know and trust. So, selecting a teaming partner. So ideally, this is what you want to do. And again, a lot of this will kind of vary. I mean, I know, like when I mentioned the construction large primes, that they will say, hey, yeah, we've got this project we're looking at. Here we can go see the plans. Provide us with your estimate for your scope of work. You should be doing that just as a way to develop a relationship with them, and then ideally kind of say, hey, can I stop by your office and really talk to you more about who we are, what we can do, those types of things, for not just this opportunity, but anything else you may have coming up down the road. But again, create a profile of what you're looking for. So again, if you're just looking for a large prime, start thinking about that. Okay, do I really want to look at large primes who the smallest job to look at is a $200 million project, or if I'm looking for a prime contractor that works on jobs that are 20 million and less, where's my sweet spot? So that's kind of what you need to kind of start thinking of. Develop interview questions. So again, when you actually sit down and start talking with someone about potentially teaming with them, you want to ask them about, their past performance. Again, you can look them up in USA Spending to see if in fact they've had contracts directly with the federal government. You want to understand, and ask them, what do they see as their strengths, weaknesses that they may have, any kind of relationships that they may have. So again, they may be have a steady relationship with a certain agency or a certain company that gives them steady work. That's a great thing to know. And then references. You want to ask for references so that way you can find out from a third party that what they've told you is all accurate. When you're meeting with a potential teaming partner, you want to identify future opportunities as much as you can. So that way you can say, hey, here's this project coming up. They probably have heard about it too, and wondering, what's going to be their approach. But if then that kind of goes back to the, what's in it for them, how are they going to make money? But by you identifying future opportunities, gets the wheels turning, that they see, okay, yeah, I see we can make some money here. They've done their homework. Here's an opportunity that's coming up that we can be very competitive on if we team with the right people. Be willing to provide your own strength, weaknesses, etc. So again, it's this next point, building rapport and trust. So that's what you want to do when you first sit down and you start in subsequent meetings with a potential teaming partner, is building that rapport and trust. And by doing that, you want to talk about your strength, weaknesses, those types of things. It could be that, like, a weakness is, like a lot of people have, is this, finding good personnel. So by you sharing that, they may say, oh, well, I know this person, or this is what we've done to handle that, those kinds of things. But you want to build that rapport. And then lastly is be prepared to exchange financial information. Especially when you're getting into like a joint venture, is because last thing you want to do is get into a situation where you team with someone, and you go after a contract, and as you're executing on that contract, you find out that all of a sudden they have huge cash flow problems. They can't pay their employees. They can't pay their suppliers. So all of a sudden the project comes to a halt, or they're coming to you to say, hey, can you front me money as we finish our work? If you knew that up front, you can say, hey, I don't have any problem with that. Let's figure out how then we're going to work that out. But the last thing you want is to be surprised that, somebody that you team with doesn't have the financial capacity to actually execute on the work that they're committed to. So why finding a partner fails? And so first of all, just lack of preparation. You looking for a partner, but then you go and you haven't prepared. You don't have set questions you really want to ask somebody. You kind of stumble along in the conversation with them that of what's happening, etc. So make sure that you prepare. Again, do that SWOT analysis on your own company so that you can be ready to talk about it. When you showed up, you haven't done any kind of market research on future opportunities. So again, if you're teaming with someone, they want to know what's in it for me and what are some opportunities that you've maybe identified. Like the example I give with the construction companies, they've identified an opportunity. And so they're saying, yes, we're looking for subcontractors on this. Lack of knowledge of where to find teaming partners. So again, people just come to us and say, hey, do we know of any teaming partners? And we're going to say, no, that's, you need to know who are the players in your industry that you need to approach to talk to about this. So, take some time to kind of think about that. Again, are you joining associations where you're meeting people within your industry that could lead to potential teaming arrangement? So think about that. Not engaging in expert advice. And really what that means is, if you go down that road where a couple of different things, actually, say you're a subcontractor and Prime approaches you and says, hey, yeah, we'd love to have you on this project. And they say, here's the contract. It's not unheard of that oftentimes a smaller company will be given a contract that has clauses in it that the prime contractor would never sign themselves, put those clauses in it. So if it's significant money that you're talking about, you want to have a legal expert take a look at it, make sure that you're not signing away rights to protect your interest. Likewise, if you're going to form a joint venture, you want an attorney that has experience in putting these together, so that way, again, that both parties are protected. There's things about how things might be mitigated should things go wrong, those types of things. So definitely you want to do that. Uh, why finding a partner fails is, you're just not following that process. You're kind of that lack of preparation. You're not doing a SWOT analysis of yourself. You're not doing one on the company, or asking them, hey, have you done one, and kind of checked up on that. You're not checking on their references, those types of things. So make sure you follow that process. Next one is key. Is again, it goes all back to, you want to develop rapport and trust, and you do that by developing personal relationships. People like to do business with people that they like. So by developing personal relationships really helps to strengthen that and establish that trust between partners. And then just not identifying the win-win aspect of the relationship. Again, everybody goes in it, what's in it for me? And you need to identify that. The other thing I would say with that too, and it kind of goes back to engaging expert advice, is when you go into something like this, you want to have it clearly understood and written that, okay, you're going to do this scope of work. I'm going to do this scope of work. I've seen where people will go into in a relationship and they think that they're going to do X, Y, and Z. And all of a sudden the prime says, oh, well, we're just going to have you do X, but we're going to self-perform Y and Z. So you went into it thinking you were going to make X amount of dollars. And then you find out down the road that, oh, you're going to make a lot less money on this because you didn't put any protection in up front to guarantee the work that you would do. So again, use legal advice. What to do when things go bad. So as much as as much as you want everything to be great, wonderful, and everybody's going to make a bunch of money, and things do go bad. So, have a plan in place before entering an agreement. And that kind of goes back to that legal counsel. Problems arise, so you want to have a clear understanding in advance of how that's going to be managed. So make sure you have a plan for that. Maintain the openness to avoid conflict. So as soon as you see that something is going wrong, be open about it. Bring that up to your teaming partner and say, hey, we didn't anticipate this, and this, our supplies didn't arrive on time, so there's going to be a delay. In that, not only do you want that communicated to your teaming partner, but your teaming partner, whoever's the prime, they want to communicate that to customer. If you're selling to the government, they understand that problems arise. And so what's important is that you communicate that to them so they can make a change order that'll say, hey, yes, we thought that this was going to be done on such date. Now we're going to change that to give the extra time to do that. But you just need to keep those lines of communication open with the customer as well as with your teaming partners. And then understanding your role in a teaming agreement. So whether you're the sub, the prime, if it's a joint venture. So, if it's a prime and you're the sub, well, it's the prime that's kind of leading this thing. They're the ones that's kind of communicating directly with the owner, the government. One thing too is that people have oftentimes we will see where there is a subprime relationship. The prime isn't paying the subcontractor for some reason. And then the subcontractor thinks that they can go to the government and somehow the government's going to intervene. The subcontractor does not have a contract with the prime. I mean, with the government, they have it with the prime. So the government's not going to come in there and tell the prime, well, you need to pay the sub. It's between the sub and the prime, but kind of understand all that. Be willing to negotiate. So again, everything's negotiable. So in the beginning, when you're just establishing a relationship, be willing to negotiate. Again, if things go sideways during the middle of a project that you're working on together, be willing to negotiate it out and find a solution. Finally, if things are going bad, you just want to just finish your contract and just learn from experience. What went bad. It could be once you find out that things didn't go as smoothly, you go back and look at it, you'd say, oh, it's because I didn't ask these questions up front, and I would have known that financially they didn't have enough cash flow in order to fund this project. And I found out the hard way, and I had to end up putting extra money in or something like that. But learn from the experience. Don't be turned off completely by it, but just learn from it and don't make that mistake again. And then lastly, if it was just if it was a horrible experience for everybody, just find a new teaming partner. So you're not committed to that company ever again. It could just be that they've got a company culture that so drastically different than yours that it would just never work out. So, you tried it once and it didn't work, and just move on and find another company that you mesh together better. So common mistakes, and then I'll take some questions from you, is just rushing into a teaming relationship. So it could be that you see an opportunity and someone reaches out to you and you're just ready to jump into it, and so you don't do all your homework, and then all of a sudden, once you're on the job, you find out things start going sideways. So as much as you can, don't rush into it. And again, in some cases, construction's a really good example where the general contractor will just have all these different scopes of works. You look at the plans and you'll see, okay, these drawings relate to the kind of work that we do, so I'll give them an offer to do this work. It's a little more straightforward, but others where it's maybe IT or anything else, by you not doing your homework and just kind of rushing into it, can cause the problems that you want to avoid. Again, just not understanding each other's company culture. That's really important. So it kind of goes back to the building rapport and trust and that kind of thing. And if their company culture is drastically different than yours, it may be that you can see the writing on the wall that you're just not going to get along when things start happening. You could be that you want your crews at work on time or 5 minutes early before the day starts, and they may have a culture, when they get there, they get there, and it just might not be something that you'd be happy with on the long run. Another common mistake is not discussing conflict resolution. So again, conflict is just going to happen. It's just unavoidable. And so you want to just have a process in place ahead of time so that when something does happen, you've got a process on how it's going to be resolved. Another one, again, is just not reviewing financials. Some companies may balk at that, but and some of this, like not reviewing financials, that's more when you start getting into more formalized, like forming a joint venture. If you're going to do that, then you want to review financials. But again, just for some of the subprime, you may not necessarily need to do that. But if it's like a joint venture, it's something definitely you want to do. Not defining the scope of work, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Is the example of you thought you were going to do X, Y, Z, and they came back and said, oh, no, you're only doing Z. It really wasn't documented anywhere. So you really want to define who's going to do what scope of work and sort of what the estimated dollar value of that work is going to be. So again, you don't want to go into anything where you think you're going to do 5 different things and you end up being told, oh, no, we're only going to give you 2 of those. And then just no payment procedures. It sounds silly, but oftentimes people will just jump into these things and they don't realize that, as an example, that they may have to wait 30 days or 60 days to get paid by their teaming partner. So if you want to get paid in a different way, say you're in a company that is required to pay their employees each week, and you have to pay your suppliers and all that. You definitely want to make sure that there's a clear understanding of how you're going to get paid. That's why too many problems have occurred where subs aren't being paid by their primes, but there was never any kind of discussion on what the payment procedures would be. So here's just a summary and conclusion. So again, conduct that SWOT analysis. Strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. Do it on your own company. And then also, ideally, ask your potential teaming partner about what they perceive as their strengths, weaknesses, and the opportunities that exist for both of you. Again, identify future opportunities. That's what everybody's kind of will be focused on. How we're going to make money if we team with you. So by you identifying future opportunities, it lets your potential teaming partner know that you're in this for the long haul and you're serious. Use references first to identify partners. So that goes back to, how do I find a teaming partner? Well, ask people that you know, that you trust. So use them first to identify partners. And again, like if you're looking for something like a formal mentor-protege relationship that would lead into maybe a formal joint venture, is that you can actually sit down and meet with 5, 10 different companies before you find one where it really seems like it's a good fit. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't just assume that because you have one meeting with some company, all of a sudden it's set in gold that you're going to start working with them. If it doesn't feel good to you, then just move on. And it could be the other way around too. You haven't done your homework, so you meet with somebody who could potentially be a good mentor to you, teaming partner, and because you haven't done your homework, it doesn't feel good to them, so they all of a sudden it's like, no thanks, but no thanks. This next one, leverage the set-asides if advantageous. So the set-asides are those certifications. So again, if you qualify for one and you have one, it may help you to sweeten the pot for somebody, as well as if you don't have one, but if you see that the kind of work that you do is being set aside for these certain socioeconomic groups, then you may want to find a company that has that you can help strengthen their offer by teaming with them. This next one, use legal advice and draft an agreement. So that's just really important. And then think strategically, don't be in a rush. So again, you may interview 5 companies and none of them seem like a good fit for you. That's fine. The 6th one may be the magic one, but again, it's all about doing your homework and those kinds of things and going through that sort of courtship process of getting to know someone, building that rapport and trust. And so that happens over time. So, don't necessarily be in a rush for this to happen. So here's our upcoming webinars. October 17th, our friends from the General Service Administration, the GSA, are going to do a presentation for us on how to do business with the GSA and GSA schedules. So that's a week from tomorrow. So that'll be a good one. And then, as I mentioned a couple times in today's presentation, I'll be doing one on mentor-protege programs, primarily the SBAs and then the Department of Defense mentor-protege programs, but as a great way for a smaller company to increase their capacity by mentor-protege relationship with another company. So with that, I'll take any questions you have. You can just drop them down in the Q&A. And I'll answer them for you. Let's see, here's one. Question is, what about a situation whereby you talk to a potential teaming partner on the phone and they don't respond to your follow-up text message afterwards? Do you recommend going and see them face to face? I would probably say not. I mean, if you talk to them on the phone and then you sent them a text, uh, that's probably a good indication that whatever was discussed on the phone didn't press them enough so that they wanted to kind of have a subsequent meeting to them. Now, the other thing I would say is that uh, if you did have a phone call with somebody and it seemed to go well and you sent them a text, I would suggest trying calling them again. And so, because depending on who it is that you're communicating with, it could be that they're just more comfortable having a phone conversation than texting people. I know certainly with a lot of, I think, younger people, they want to do everything by text and things like that. But, not everybody lives in that world. So I would suggest trying a phone call. If you still don't get much of a response, then I would just move on to somebody else. And that's, and that kind of just goes back to what I was saying is that either A, you may not get a warm, fuzzy feeling from them, or B, they maybe don't get a warm, fuzzy feeling from you. So if that's the case, then, move on and find somebody else. So we're waiting, see if there's any more questions. Let me tell you a little bit about this event that's going to happen on November 7th in Salinas. So what we're doing is it's called the Central Coast Procurement Expo, and we're bringing representatives as exhibitors from local government, basically the counties, the cities, universities in the area, Naval Postgraduate School. There'll be some prime contractors there that are working on the high-speed rail that'll be there. But they're there to talk to you about, and we'll be doing some training there as well. So it's a combination of training sessions, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, networking. So that time where you can go and meet with these representatives from the various government entities that'll be there to learn about the kinds of products and services that they typically are buying at a local level. And, you can present your company to them. So the event is at no cost to you. We're going to provide a box lunch to everybody that comes in attendance. So when you see the invite that comes out, please register, because that'll help us to get an accurate number for the amount of lunches that we need to provide. So take advantage of that. Again, anytime you can attend an event like that, it's a great way for you to learn and then meet. Oftentimes, again, that might be a great place where you actually, just by attending an event and talking to someone, is actually meeting someone who can eventually become a teaming partner of yours. With that, I don't see any other questions. So again, I'll send everybody a copy of these slides and then a link to the recording. So with that, thank you very much, and we hope you join us on the 17th on a Thursday to learn about selling to the GSA. Thank you.